Hello everybody, welcome back. In the last video I introduced you to the functions. Now in this video we're going to get into a little more in depth, I should say, into functions. So up here we just have set a global variables equal to 10. Let's show a lot of numbers. Okay, so for this function we're adding numbers, and do you see that we can just assign one of these arguments a value? So that's what we did here. We just assigned them a value. Boom, just like that. And then we're returning those two together. And we can also combine, we assigned 2 right here with their values. Excuse me, and then we did the star args, and we're going to say the final value is equal to these two. Okay, now an if statement for the args, and then we go into a loop. So for I and args, the final value we're going to add I to it. Okay, then we're going to return that final value. And we have a scope function. So the main number is 10. We're going to print ID main number, and we're going to print the main number equals main number. Excuse me. Then we have a change global. So our global variable up there. This is on line 28 here. This is a syntax you can use. You can actually call this. You can you can bring in a global variable by just simply typing in global followed by the variable name itself. And then there's also a built-in Python function that's globals. And then you can see we put these brackets around it, and we tell it what global we're going to change, and then we just give it a new number. On line 32 here, this function, we're creating a dictionary. Now remember I told you about the double star and the kvargs. Okay, that's just key value arguments. That's just some shorthand that some people use, but you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So what we're going to say is we're going to do a for loop, and we're going to print them out, and then we are going to tell you what type it is. And then we're going to print the type and then the args down there. Here's a function for factorials. So a factorial, we pass it the num. If num is equal to 1, we're going to return 1, else return num times the factorial of the num minus 1. And factorials, that's something for another time. Define print names. We got first and last, and we're just passing this function. We're really not doing anything with it. And this is our main function that we're actually going to use this little statement, this little if statement, to run it. And here would be an example of creating a function with a docstring. These are just some constructors that you can use, and that's actually what this down here is called, is a constructor. Add identify numbers, okay. And then we're going to create a dictionary using our create dictionary function that is right here. So we're going to call that down there, and we're going to assign it name, age, year born, and then this one we're going to assign it different customers. So you can see customer 1 is equal to this guy, right? And then we just throw a little comma, and then after that we do the same thing, and this is going to put it into our dictionary. So we're passing that through that function, which is going to print that out for us. Okay, so let me hop out of presentation mode, and see if I cannot pull this up. Well, hopefully I can. Okay, now let's make this bigger. We're at 24. Okay. And we'll go ahead and run this. And here's our output. This is just telling us this is everything that we ran as far as the functions go. And you can see a lot of this is kind of basic stuff, just showing you can, tell what kind of type it is. Here's our dictionary that was created right there. And here is our, see how this is put into tuples, right? So we put that into 3 tuples using our dictionary function. Kind of cool. And here is the custom dictionary in the back, the final one that we created, the big long one. This is your output. So you can access all the information for customer 3, all this information here, just by printing out the key to it, which is customer 3. Pretty cool. Alright, let's go into the next one. And we'll go ahead and open up that one, Okay. Alright, now here's another look at some different functions. And hopefully the more you look at them, you'll start to understand how they work. Like, it doesn't matter what I put up here as far as arguments, and I can have 0 arguments. We use that so that we can call this anywhere else, this add function, wherever we may need to use it. We set it up ahead of time, so if I'm working on something where I'm doing constant addition for whatever reason, and I don't want to do the mental math, I can just call my add function. I've already told it what it can do or what it's supposed to do. In this case, it's just going to add A and B together and then return that. And when I call that function, it's going to, for whatever numbers I put in there, it's going to do that calculation. Same thing for subtract. This is just, these are very basic, of course, but it's just to give you an idea of, okay, these are simple mundane things. Divide, division, multiplication. That is something that you would use a function for, something that's repeated over and over. Like right here. What we did was we assigned variables right here, and we called our function. So we're adding. We passed it 2 values, passed it 2 values, and passed it 2 values. No, A and B, 2 values. And then we're going to print out these variables here. So we just put that little calculation into a variable. Let's print it out. Now, here down here, you can get real crazy with it. We can say what is equal to the add. So we're doing that. And age, we're using that variable. Subtract, we're using height, and then we're using another function, multiply, weight, and then we're using the last function to multiply or to divide this by 2. And that's basically just combining everything into one giant function. But this is a great demonstration for how to use functions. This would be a recursive use of functions. Like, we're using all of our functions within functions, and we took all of that and placed it into one variable, so that one variable can do a pretty sweet calculation, right? Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. And So let's run 25.py, and here we go. We're adding 30 plus 5, subtracting these two, multiplying these, dividing these numbers. This is our expected output for all of these right here. Now check out this last one. The last one becomes this insane number right here. And obviously you can't do that by hand. So it's showing you, okay, functions are useful, that's why we have them. And the reason that it's taken so long to get to the functions is because you really need to understand the other stuff first. Now you can go, okay, instead of a million print statements, I can put those in a function, and within that function I could do a while loop within that function, so that, you know, and then call that one function in a variable even, and I can take that variable and call it out to the person on the other end and say, alright, until you answer this correctly or the way I want it to, it's just going to keep looping over, and if you give it the right answer, boom, then it'll stop and break out of it. That is kind of what I'm going for here. The next one, I'm going to put it up here, and then I'm going to have you guys just kind of view it and then look at it, and then it should be no surprise here. It's nothing super elaborate. Let's bring that down. So I would pause the video and print out all of this and go ahead and run your code and see what happens, and get in here and start playing around with stuff. Notice we have the tabs and the spaces and things like that, and your output should be something pretty decent, nothing too crazy. Alright, that's all for this one, guys. We're gonna keep going, and we're heading in the right direction, so I will see you guys on the next one.